So without further ado, we're going to introduce our last and final speaker, Kelly Crane. So Kelly, if you could jump on the stage here with me. We're excited to have you and learn a little bit about AI. Hello, thank you for coming.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, perfect. I'll give you a little intro and then turn the time over to you.
Sounds
So
great.
Kelly Crane is a marketing lecturer at the KU School of Business and has also been an instructor in the Johnson County Community College's Continuing Education Internet Marketing Certificate Program, where you taught web analytics, YouTube and video marketing, and social media. You also teach marketing and social media at JCCC's Marketing Management Program in the Business Division. And if that wasn't enough, you are also the former director of the William Allen White School of Journalism's Integrated Marketing Communications Graduate Program at the University of Kansas, where you implemented the marketing program, recruited students, developed and scheduled courses, recruited and hired adjunct lecturers, and taught relationship marketing and the Capstone Course to all the adult graduate students. Wow. So we are so grateful to have you here, Kelly, and excited for your topic today, especially with the Snow White theme that I see in your title. So I'll go ahead and jump off and turn the time over to you.
Thank you. I would like to blame ChapGPT for this title, but I came up with it on my own. So AIAIO, how AI is transforming integrated marketing communications. And I want to thank Stu Kent for having me come and speak today. It's always fun to kind of be able to put together a presentation like this and sort of bring together all the things that you know and that you've been working on. And I think it's actually going to help me in the social media course I'm teaching this fall. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to back up a little bit and tell you a few things about me that happened before I came to KU. I had about a 30-year career in integrated marketing communications. I was director and VP level positions in the entertainment industry primarily, but also a little bit in healthcare, telecommunications, and worked for some ad agencies before I came to higher ed. And like they said, I earned my MBA from KU, and then almost immediately afterwards came on board with the William Allen White School of Journalism to direct the graduate program in integrated marketing. This was back in 2007. Did that for about 9 years before coming to the School of Business, back to where I got my MBA. So I would love to hear a little bit about you guys. Like, what subject do you teach? So I think we've got a poll that's going to pop up, and unfortunately I can't see it. So maybe they can tell me what it's showing up to look like. About how many integrated marketing communications professors do we have on here? Let's see if I can get out and take a look at it. Oh, a lot. Great. And a lot of social media. That's what I would expect. A lot of digital marketing, some PR, and some advertising. Excellent. Excellent. Well, this may be kind of a repeat of some of the things you've heard already today, because being in integrated marketing communications, you can see how all of these disciplines fit together. And so I was listening to some of the earlier presentations and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. So hopefully it won't be too redundant, and you'll get kind of see how it all fits together. So I had to make this slide because every time I use AI, use a voice prompt to type in something that says IMC, this is what always comes up. This is what Siri hears, IMC. So what is IMC? So I want to introduce you to the man who coined the phrase integrated marketing communications, for those of you who don't know, a tool called Hey Jen.
My name is Don Schultz.
I'll skip through that again, but he told us about this definition of IMC from the 4A's, the American Association of Advertising Agencies. He really did coin that term, integrated marketing communications, back in 1989. And in addition to that definition, there's one from the AMA, American Marketing Association, that's very similar. But one of the things you might notice is that there's not a lot of mention about digital marketing, social media, mobile marketing, and things like that in this definition, because after all, started in 1989, and I remember that year well because it was the year I graduated from college, and back then I didn't even own a computer. So it's hard to imagine for me that IMC is such a recent discipline, or at least it seems recent to me. But it really only has been something that's been around since about 1989. And today, IMC includes all of the various inbound and outbound marketing tactics, including advertising, broadcast, public relations, events, sponsorships, digital marketing, social media, direct marketing, all the things you see on this chart. This is, by the way, from Diane Law's Integrated Marketing Communications textbook, the student textbook. But we divide them into these 6 buckets, and these are some of the different marketing communications channels that we have at our disposal now that we couldn't have even dreamed of when IMC was first coined. So back in the 80s and 90s, again, marketing departments were very siloed. In fact, even recently, since I've been at KU, I've noticed that some major corporations in town still have very siloed marketing departments. And in the era of traditional media back then, the advertising people didn't know what the PR people were doing. And God forbid either one of those talked to the sales team. So I remember my first job out of college, it was in the music industry, and I was living in Austin, Texas. And I made a trip to Nashville to present my company's products to a sales conference of a sales team at our distribution company. And they were also a record label, a much bigger label. And I was talking to one of the PR people at that record label about an artist that was a brand new artist they were about to launch. And I asked her, how does your PR plan fit in with the advertising and promotional plan for the entire album release for this new artist? And she looked at me quizzically and she said, "What do you mean?" And in the small company I worked for, I was the marketing department. I was the only marketing person. So our marketing was integrated just based on the fact that I was the only one doing it. But that was the first time I realized that that wasn't true everywhere, and that no one had heard of IMC back then, even in the early 90s. But to me, integrating our marketing campaign just seemed logical. It just made sense to make everything fit together. And you can see, on this graphic, again, from the IMC textbook, the difference between traditional marketing and our integrated approach now. We've gone from being really focused on the concerns of the company from a production orientation of like, hey, we make widgets, so let's go find someone to buy them, to more of a marketing orientation that's driven by the customer's wants and needs instead. And then the advent of the internet and other related technology has enabled us to have these two-way conversations with our customers, and even to personalize them in a way that's special to them. So all that to say that IMC is really about a consumer-driven integrated marketing approach. It's about finding the right customer, knowing who your buyer persona is, your target market, and reaching them at the right time with the right message through the right channels, and those channels from that list that I showed on one of the previous slides. And we do that by utilizing paid, owned, and earned media. So you might be thinking that IMC sounds a lot like multi-channel or omni-channel marketing, and you'd sort of be right. It's similar, but it's not quite the same. Multi-channel marketing refers to the campaigns that you're running different campaigns on each channel. So you run a campaign on this channel, you run a campaign on that channel. But IMC is really about delivering the same experience across all channels. So the same message, integrating your communications, and having a consistent message and a consistent brand that consumers will recognize across all of the channels that you're using. So right before 9/11, I was interviewing at an ad agency for a consulting position. I'd been the VP of marketing at a company that did faith-based women's conferences all across the country in major arenas. And the man I was interviewing with had been previously the VP of media for one of our competitor companies. And his company had a network of hundreds of radio stations across the country where they broadcast a radio program, and they had a huge staff putting on this their competing women's event. We had none of that. We were like the David to their Goliath. And yet in every market we went to, we would sell 15,000, 18,000 seats. We'd sell out these arenas, and they could barely sell 5,000 tickets. And so as I interviewed for this consulting position with him with this ad agency, he asked me this question. He said, how did you beat us in every market we were in? Like, how did you do it? And I said, my answer at the time was like, well, I mean, I just used an integrated marketing approach. And I still had never heard of Don Schultz or integrated marketing communications. But to me, again, it just made sense. I would send a publicist and a media buyer and a salesperson. I put them on a team. they would work a particular market, and at the same time, the publicist was booking interviews for our talent. Then our media buyer would be buying TV and radio ads. Our sales team would be out selling tickets to groups. Our graphics and direct mail team were creating billboards and posters and direct mail pieces. And all of this was hitting in a very finite timeline window, maybe a 4 to 6 week span in that city. So if you were in our target market, you could almost not go anywhere in that city and not hear about our event. We knew very well who our audience was, and we knew how to reach them. So to me, integrated marketing communications just made sense. There are a lot of benefits of integrated marketing communications, and these were some of the ones that I saw working for this event company. Relative to our competitors, we saw increases in sales. We went from 170,000 attendees in 1 year to 500,000 the next year. We sold out 28 of 29 arenas. The only one we couldn't do was Vegas. That was a little hard. But we had the loyalty and trust of our audience and who came back to our events year after year and experienced that same consistency of our brand. But a lot has changed in IMC over the past 30 years. And so I use the technology that we have available to us now. I asked ChapGPT to create an outline for a presentation to marketing professors on the top 10 trends in marketing. And this is what they came up with. I thought this was a pretty good list. So we don't have time to discuss all of them, but they are very integrated. So you'll see a lot of overlap in what I talk about. So in the spirit of integrated marketing, we won't necessarily talk about content marketing or social media integration or personalization, but we'll talk about artificial intelligence and how that's used to create content, or how content is a factor in influencer marketing. And then we'll talk about augmented reality and virtual reality and how we can use them to create that personalization, that personalized customer experience. So all that to say, I'm going to focus on the technology items on this list and the rest of the presentation, primarily the technology trends, and then we'll allude to the others throughout the presentation. So these are the ones that we'll cover. So the agenda, we've already done the introduction and the overview of IMC. And so we're going to look at the top trends, those 5 trends, through the lens of technology. And we're going to talk about the implications for instruction as well as the implications for integrated marketing communications. Then I have a couple slides on some ethical issues in AI and several slides of tools that you can use with links that might be helpful, and some assignment ideas. So from a technology perspective, we've gone through 3 paradigm shifts since the advent of integrated marketing communications. First was the internet. I was in my 4th job after college before I worked for a company that actually had email. And even then, we could email the person in the cubicle next to us, but we couldn't actually email anyone outside the building. So that's kind of how much has changed in that time. And then we had mobile devices. First it was just making phone calls, but they were still helpful, they were still useful, but they were a far cry from the computers we carry around in our pockets and in purses today. And now it's all about artificial intelligence. I know you've heard a lot about this today in the previous presentations. It is the hot topic. So now I'd like to hear from you. I would love to hear what your personal feeling about AI is. So there should be a poll that will pop up, and I'm not going to even risk closing out my window to see what the poll says. So if somebody could shout out what the results of that poll are, that would be fantastic.
Coming in so far, 83% are choosing AI is where it's at. It's the future. Zero.
Wow, that's
0 answers for AI should never be used. And then we've got the other 24% says, it scares me. What's next?
Yeah, I was probably in that 3rd camp until the ProfCon conference, actually. And I see the value in it now. The more I heard about it there and the more I've done some research on it. But yeah, it still scares the hell out of me. So we're going to talk about a few of the trends that are related to AI and how we can use it and how we can use it in a responsible way, which I think is kind of a theme we've heard about so far this afternoon as well. So the first trend we're going to start with talking about AI, and then that'll kind of become a thread throughout. But traditional AI kind of focused on detecting the patterns and making decisions, honing analytics, and detecting fraud and things like that. But then we are now in the era of generative AI, which is a form of machine learning. And these are the algorithms that can actually create content. So let's take a look at the unique characteristics of traditional AI, generative AI, and machine learning. So just to give you kind of a definition of the difference, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and it enables, as it sounds like, machine systems to learn and improve on experiences. So it's about analyzing the data and learning from that data and kind of spitting out insights. But artificial intelligence is the use of technologies to build machines and computers that can mimic the cognitive functions of human intelligence. This is where it gets all Terminator-y on me. So generative AI is more of the AI that can produce content. So it's not just identifying the patterns and making the predictions that traditional AI did, but it's actually producing that content. And it uses machine learning to create the outputs based on a particular data set. Excuse me. So the generative AI outputs can be a number of different things. So you can actually type, as we know with ChapGPT, you can type text into an AI system and it will output text. So a text-to-text generative AI program. But you can also output other things. So this is what I find so incredibly crazy, is that you can actually type something in a text box and it will output an image for you, or it'll output a video or something like that. So it can do text to image, text to video. DALL-E is an example of a tool that does that. So again, I'd like to hear from you a little bit. Which of these tools have you used in the past week? Because for those of you who say AI scares you, you may not realize that you've been using them all along. You've been using AI tools. So I know I've probably used every single one of these at some point, especially with Amazon Prime happening this week. So Prime Day, using those product recommendations. So yeah, we use these tools all the time. So I want to encourage you to those of you who maybe are a little bit more timid about AI, to be bold, because chances are you are using AI already. You use autocomplete in your Google search. You use you've maybe seen captioning on YouTube videos. Maybe you've looked up something on Google Translate. AI is all around us. And there are creative ways we can use it that are good ways. For example, the New York Times is actually working with Google Cloud to digitize their entire photo collection. So this is an image of their below street level space where they archive millions of photos in rows and rows of filing cabinets that have been down there since the beginning of the New York Times. So they can now use AI to digitize those images and read them, to scan them, so their AI understands what's in the images. It can recognize objects, places, any notes the photographer might have written on the back of the photo. All of that is captured and becomes searchable for future generations. So it can be a very useful tool. And then be curious. What does this mean for marketers? I know we as professors sometimes we're more concerned about the use of these tools by our students to plagiarize or something like that. But as marketing professors, we can learn that there are some cool things we can do with it. This is a new Google product called Google Product Studio. I don't know if it's available yet. I know they're using it at Google, but I don't know if others have access to it yet or not. But this is what you can do with that. You can take your product image, you can remove the background from it, and you can say something in a text box like, I want a picture of my product on top of a stone with a nature scene in the background. And this image is completely created by AI. This product was not photographed in that setting. It was all created digital or through augmented reality. So so it's just amazing what can happen. So these are some ways that we can do this. This saves us time, it saves us money, saves us in photo shoots and things like that. So perhaps one of the most talked about AI tools, of course, is ChapGPT. And sometimes we fear our students will use it to write papers and then rather than turning in original work, and we wish it would just go away, or we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know what we're going to do with it. But if we're preparing students for marketing communications roles for the jobs of tomorrow, we really need to know how to help them harness its power. I actually ran into a former graduate student of mine in the integrated marketing communications program at the journalism school, and we ran into each other at the eyeglass store at the mall. And she's a corporate communications person for American Century Investments. And she was telling me that her team has been told that they need to use ChatGPT more in their marketing communications. And everything in her makes her want to cringe about that. She's has a journalism background, but she realizes that there are ways that it can be helpful. You can generate ideas with it. It can help you do your research. It can help you in editing content, reducing or expanding the content, and many more things. So there's I already mentioned that I used it to come up with the outline for the presentation. I've actually created a list of several assignments that I think StuCamp will be sending you guys that are ChatGPT related marketing assignments that you'll receive today. And there'll be at least one that should work for you no matter what you teach, whether it's digital marketing, social media, PR, or any of those other disciplines. But many of them are around the practice of writing prompts for AI tools like ChatGPT. So this will help students think critically about what they're asking ChatGPT to do, because it's garbage in, garbage out. If your prompt is not good, your output's not going to be great. So there are ways that we can help students think critically about what they really want to say, and the output, how to get the output that they want from that. So these are a few of the steps that you'll see in some of the assignments on how to write a good prompt. Because more and more companies are going to be hiring prompt engineers to do this type of thing. So the second trend is augmented reality and virtual reality. So a lot of times we use those interchangeably, but augmented reality or AR allows people to add digital elements into their environment. Pokemon Go, Snapchat filters, Instagram, the NFL app, they all kind of use those types of tools. And the thing that makes it easy for us as marketers to implement something like this with augmented reality is that we already have the tools that we need to do it. We have our smartphones. That's all we need. And Apple and Android are both already encouraging developers to use more AR applications to better connect with their customers. So the phones that we have, that our customers have, are really going to drive that. Virtual reality is more of a wholly immersive experience that allows users to interact with virtual worlds. So, the VR headsets that you see people wearing. So there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry on that from a marketing perspective, because it requires that specific headset hardware, and only a small percentage of the population owns something like that. But let's take a look at a few examples of each of these in action. So you may have seen Wayfair or Sherwin-Williams, how they allow you to take a piece of furniture. I think IKEA does this as well. Take a piece of furniture and see what it would look like in your house, or see what different colors of paint would look like on the walls of your house before you actually go out and buy the paint and slap it on. So these are some ways where we can improve customer experience using augmented reality tools like this. This is one of my favorites. I mean, I feel like these were like some of the first people to use augmented reality. But 19 Crimes has this very attention-getting campaign where they actually have images of criminals on their bottles that come to life and tell their story when you scan them with your phone. I was in the liquor store the other day and I saw Snoop Dogg on one of the 19 Crimes bottles. And I'm like, oh, I wish I had time to get out my phone and see what he has to say. But we can totally integrate this in a marketing communications campaign in a number of ways. For one thing, they've got the AR on their product, so that's part of it. But we could add a QR code to our print materials, to brochures, to our business cards, magazine ads, that all lead back to that virtual experience. Creating a mobile app, maybe where you can do different things with AR. They've of course got the AR images on the products, and we can link those AR experiences to our social channels and even tease them on radio ads or TV ads. So there's a number of ways ways we can use this kind of tool in our integrated marketing communications campaign. And with virtual reality, there's a number of ways that it can help us grow our businesses as well. Number one, with our story. VR can help us tell our brand story in a really engaging way. It can create a memorable experience, can be fun, and it can really showcase our product. And that's what Volvo did for their Volvo XC90. They actually created this experience. They wanted to kind of tell the story of how well their cars handle, how well they're engineered. And so they created this virtual reality experience where customers could virtually test drive the Volvo XC90 to see how the car handles in a variety of scenarios, including critical situations like potential accident situations, and showed them how their product worked in that environment. So there's a lot of benefits of AR and VR in integrated marketing communications. For example, you get the opportunity to virtually try on a product or try it before you buy with like furniture and paint and cars and things like that. And that personalized experience can lead to an increase in revenue because people trust the brand when they've had a chance to try it out. And because they've tried it, their customer satisfaction is increased. It reduces returns. The shopping experience kind of becomes gamified. It becomes a fun shopping experience, and it makes that product seem more valuable, more memorable, and it can create buzz, good PR for the company as well. So the third trend is influencer marketing, and we've talked a lot about that today. I know it's a $16.4 billion industry as of 2022, and these are some of the kind of key points that are happening in the industry right now. First of all, the rise of micro-influencers. We've already kind of talked about this in a previous presentation, but they actually have much higher engagement rates than the larger influencers with larger audiences. And of course, they're more cost effective as well. You're not paying them as much as influencers. They also tend to have niche followings. So if you're trying to reach a niche audience, then you can find an influencer that really aligns with them. Secondly is the role of authenticity, which is funny because we're actually using augmented reality influencers as well, but authenticity is still important. So consumers they're becoming much more savvy. They're discerning. They want to know the truth about who's getting paid to shill for a product, essentially. And so they are really looking for to trust influencers that have genuine partnerships, that have the same values as the product or company or brand. And they want that honest disclosure of what they're getting out of it, and really truly authentic storytelling. And then third, marketers are actually becoming better at learning how to measure the success of a influencer campaign. And so really using data to determine what influencers they should align with based on the influencers' data of who follows them and how many followers they have and the engagement of their followers, but also to tracking and analyzing the performance and understanding who that audience of that influencer is. So we're kind of moving into this influencer 2.0 where, in influencer 1.0, it was more about, the influencer creating a post for the influencer's feeds. It was really kind of to generate word of mouth marketing to expand our reach. And then they started kind of using some of that content for paid media as well on social media. And it was really more of a campaign by campaign relationship. But in influencer 2.0, we're really looking at adapting that influencer content for placement across the entire marketing ecosystem. So traditional media, digital media, your entire integrated marketing campaign based on that influencer relationship. A lot more video content, a lot more e-commerce enabling, so that when an influencer makes an impact on one of their followers, that follower can instantly make that purchase. And really looking at deeper partnerships between the brand and the influencer, more of a long-term relationship. I'm going to kind of skip through a little bit of this because I know we heard about this in a previous presentation, but Again, looking at the importance of those micro and nano influencers, they have a smaller audience size, but they are more bottom of the funnel when people are near that purchase experience or purchase decision stage. That's when they can make their biggest impact, and they are influential in that area. And bigger isn't always better. The more an Instagram influencer's follower number rises, the more the engagement rate decreases. So the smaller influencers definitely have better engagement, and the economics show it. So if you do the math, if you use your data and figure it out, you can see that the cost per the ROI, on an influencer campaign is actually better with a micro influencer than perhaps using Kim Kardashian to do your influencing for you. So some of the trends, just another AI thing. This is actually a picture of an influencer created by AI. This is not even a real person. So I can't even remember what tool I used to do that, but it was that's one of those text to image AI tools. But 93% of marketers have used influencer marketing, and Instagram is their preferred platform for using it. And a lot of Gen Z and millennials will follow influencers on social media. So if you want to reach that particular demographic, that's influencer marketing is almost a must. The interesting thing is that 50% of millennials trust those product recommendations from influencers unless that influencer is a celebrity, and then it kind of drops off. So I thought that was really interesting. So that's, again, why those nano and micro influencers are much more influential and have better engagement and ROI. And the interesting thing is that you can don't always have to pay influencers with money. You can also pay them with free product samples. So on Father's Day, I found out that my 13-year-old niece is actually a micro or nano influencer. She's actually been creating a kind of unboxing products and things like that Instagram account. She's got a few thousand followers. She gets free product all the time from like Lululemon and places like that, and ended up like having $800 in a Target account for something that she had posted about. And so yeah, it's amazing what even small influencers can do in that space. So many of you maybe have heard of Little Michaela. She's, we're talking about influencers needing to be authentic, but she is actually one of the top influencers, and she's not even real. She's completely AI generated. She has a backstory. She's a Brazilian-American 19-year-old from Downey, California, who was created in 2016. She now has 2.7 million followers on Instagram. She has accounts on Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, and TikTok as well, and has product endorsements with luxury brands like Calvin Klein and Prada. And believe it or not, she's been signed to a talent agency. So it's kind of crazy. But this is one of the ads that she has run for Samsung Galaxy.
Everything seemed unimaginable when it was just a few lines of code. I love creating new things, achieving the impossible. That's what being part of Team Galaxy is all about. Team Galaxy. Do what you can.
I think it's interesting how in that ad they actually own the fact that she was created with a few lines of code, that she, they were not trying to pass her off as a real person. They're actually very comfortable stating that she's a virtual influencer. But the sad thing is that virtual influencers are actually outperforming human influencers. According to the AI marketing benchmark report, the women and 13 to 17-year-old audience is much more responsive to virtual influencers than to human influencers. And there are some advantages and disadvantages of each. Obviously, you don't have to worry about behavioral issues with the celebrity influencer. That you might experience with the celebrity influencer when you have a virtual influencer. You get maybe greater control over the brand messaging. You can make them say what you want them to say. You have, different personalities. You can build the personality around your brand, things like that. But, the perception of them could be that they're a little creepy. So there's just a pro and con. And we know right now it's a trend. Will it stick around? who knows? But another of the key things that is coming up with influencer marketing is the rise of creators. So the difference between a creator and an influencer, an influencer might just talk about your product, but a creator might help you co-create content related to the product. And in an influencer 2.0, we will see a lot more of that. And then in terms of AI usage in influencer marketing, again, the AI marketing benchmark report says that 63% of the respondents indicated that they plan to incorporate AI and machine learning into their influencer campaigns. I mean, that's 2/3. That's a huge number. And the capabilities that they're looking for are things like content generation, audience targeting, data analysis, and things like that. These are the ways that AI can help out. They can also help us prevent influencer fraud. We can determine whether influencers are inflating their numbers or paying for fake followers or things like that. We can do a deep analysis of the influencers' audiences to figure out whether they're the right fit for us. We can match the right content with the right influencer and analyze the campaign performance and things like that. We can even negotiate compensation and incentives using AI. So according to, again, this AI marketing benchmark report, nearly 60% of the respondents said that these AI technologies have actually improved their influencer marketing outcomes. And again, as it relates to IMC, personalization will change the face of influencer marketing. We'll be moving the brands not only online, but offline as well into our other traditional marketing and traditional media efforts. Content creation and influencer created content will be huge. Co-creating that content together, video as the preferred tool for that. Video is always very engaging, and then using paid social to amplify that influencer created content in order to get broader reach. Fourth trend is video marketing. I'm not sure how we're doing on time. I know since we had a little glitch at the beginning, I might be running over, but so stop me if you need to. But let me go ahead and get into trend number 4. If we don't have time for trend number 5, that's fine. But video, I mean, we all know video is huge. Video is a very engaging medium, but short form video is becoming the new normal, and AI tools are aiding in that content creation. So video is great for increasing your brand awareness, improving your customers' understanding of your products and services, really engaging with that brand, sales conversions, lead generation, all aspects of marketing benefit from video marketing. But short form video, I don't know whether it's because we spent time during COVID watching videos and we have the attention span of a goldfish, and so we like those short form videos. But short form is typically defined as anything less than 3 minutes long, and usually more in the 1 or 2 minute range. But these types of videos are really easy to repurpose across all social platforms. And the cool thing about short form video is you're going to get it watched. People might not watch a full 5-minute video. They might drop off after a minute. But in a short form video, we have a lot more people sticking around to watch the entire message. And sometimes they watch it more than once because it's that short. So the click-through rates on short form videos are 5 to 8%, which is huge compared to longer form videos. And most of the social platforms have a short form video opportunity. And they're all kind of in the, really, 15-second to 90-second, maybe 3-minute range. So there's lots of options for repurposing your video content on the various platforms. It also has higher engagement rates, higher ROI, and it takes less time to produce. So there's a lot of advantages to using short form videos. But the challenge of video marketing is that sometimes we just don't feel like we have the time to create the video content. We don't have the budget for it. The process is difficult. The survey respondents for this survey said that the pre-production part, the generating ideas, the script writing, the casting is the most time-consuming part of the entire process. So I wanted to introduce you to my friend Richard McCroskey. He's the senior creative production person at T-Mobile. He does video and motion graphics production. And I was talking to him the other day because he was talking about just in passing how he was using AI in video production at T-Mobile. And I called him up. I'm like, I want to hear more about this. And so this is kind of what he was telling me. He said, that we use AI for idea and creative generation. He said, like whether it's ChapGPT or whatever, he said, I might post something in ChapGPT saying, give me 5 ways to talk about how to open an app on an iPhone. And they'll use that as the jumping off point. And then from there, they'll write the script. And again, he says short form video, he's like, if it's over 2 minutes, you're losing people. So he said, we might need to go back and rewrite the script. So we might go back and tell ChatGPT, okay, exclude X, Y, and Z from the script, or elaborate on points 1, 2, and 3. Or, if they send you a long script, send me the key points. What are the main things that we need to focus on in this script? So they can use it for that. And then for post-production even, add upbeat instrumental music, and then, AI creates a music bed for you. Tell me what B-roll footage I should use in the background of my video. So there's all these things. He said it might take them, what used to take them maybe 3, 4, 5 days to do, now it takes them 3, 4, or 5 hours at the most. So it's really made them a lot more efficient. So they use a few of these tools, one of them being synthesia.com, which actually I think Stu Kent uses for some of their videos in their simternships. But they also just built an LED studio to do VR and XR, extended reality videos. And if you watch The Mandalorian, you might you have seen VR and XR in the work. It's basically how they shoot that whole movie. They basically create an LED studio that's got LED lights on the walls, on the ceiling, on the floor, and they almost never have to shoot anything on location. And it looks realistic. It looks like it actually is in a real setting. But we can apply that in marketing to do product photo shoots like of this SUV, where it looks like it's driving through a forest and it's really just sitting in a studio. So Richard says this has saved them a ton of time and a ton of money on doing location shoots and things like that. And as it relates to IMC, again, you can use video across all of your channels. Use it on social media, use it on your website, your blog, send it out in an email. There's just a number of ways we can repurpose video throughout our integrated marketing campaigns and keep that message consistent. I have one more trend. I don't know if we want to keep going or if I need to wrap it up here. What do you
Kelly,
think?
you're fine to keep going due to those technical issues.
Okay. Perfect. So the last trend I want to talk about is voice search optimization. And it's actually an SEO technique where we want to make our content more likely to appear in voice search results. So, it's not like when you're typing something into Google and a page comes up with a big list. They basically choose what they tell you when you do a voice search in some cases, if you're talking to Siri or Alexa or something like that. So, but smart speaker ownership is dramatically increasing. There's 100 million smart speakers in US homes now, and most people own at least 1 or 2. So it's a very pervasive technology, but there's a number of other technologies we have where we can actually do voice commands as well. And I'm sure I do it all the time when I'm searching for something, or when I'm driving, or voice to text, or get directions to so-and-so, or call so-and-so. But 57% of us use it on our smartphones, 29% on tablets and laptops and desktops, our smart speakers, our TV remote controls, car navigation, our wearables, our watches. But it's we have that opportunity to use it everywhere. Voice search isn't a craze. It's slowly becoming the norm, and about 40% of US internet users say they do it at least monthly, and the number of smart speakers is only going to be increasing. So there's overlap between on-page SEO and voice search optimization, of course, because we're still searching for the same thing, but it's the way we search that's a little bit different, the language that we use. So if we're searching with our voice, we might say, hey, what are some good spas near me? We make it very conversational. We ask it as a question. We speak in complete sentences, versus when we're texting a search, we might just type in spa near me. So voice search queries, again, much more conversational, and therefore our copy on our social media, on our website, on our blogs, all needs to kind of be related to that in order to optimize it. So best practice for voice search, target question keywords and other long tail keywords. So what are people actually asking for? How would they ask for it in a conversational language? And prioritize local SEO. Most of the time when we do a voice search is because we're looking for something near us, something near me, a spa near me, a restaurant near me, tacos near me. So prioritize those local searches and things like that. And the best way to do that is to get set up with a Google business profile, so that because Google will search that for the near me searches. And then optimize for mobile, because most people are doing those voice searches on their mobile phone. Make sure that if you take them to a website, it's a mobile friendly website. So, responsive design and things like that to make sure that they can see it. And then use AI tools. As you might have guessed, there's an AI tool for everything. So you can use AI tools to actually plug your copy from your website or your mobile site or your blog or whatever into a tool, and it will come up with those voice search optimization long tail keywords for you from your copy, or it will make suggestions to you on how you can rewrite your copy to be more optimized for voice search. So lots of ways that we can do that. Now, just to kind of wrap things up, I just got this email in my inbox this morning of 7 risks for using AI for marketing. I'm like, oh, that should have come in yesterday. But these were some of the things that they talked about, and one of them was things like machine learning bias. Again, garbage in, garbage out. If biased data is going in, biased data is going to come out. So we have to keep that in mind when we use a tool like ChapGPT. We have to use it with caution. Factual fallacies. We need to fact check what comes out of those tools. And is the content going to be too homogenous? Is it going to all sound very robotic and stilted? And loss of SEO. There's SEO is going to prioritize original content. So if we stick too much with stuff that might sound an awful lot like something else that's already out there, it's going to affect us from an SEO perspective. And then things like legal challenges. If we ask for some, write a story in the style of Stephen King, could he sue us for that? So there's things that we just don't know about, and security and privacy and all of that. So I haven't actually had time to read that full article yet, but it was interesting that it popped up today. And then, perhaps you still have some concerns about using AI in marketing in your classroom. There are some very real fears of plagiarism and cheating and things like that. So if you opt to use some of these AI tools, you might want to sort of set the expectation bar for the students on what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do in terms of using ChatGPT. So someone at the ProfCon conference actually suggested writing an email to students with outlining your expectations. And full disclosure, this was actually written with ChatGPT. So in about 20 seconds, it spit out a pretty decent email. I'm going to go through and edit it, obviously, to be in my voice and to fact check it and things like that. But it was a really good outline about what is plagiarism and how do we know what we're doing, and kind of setting those expectations. So there are ways that we can all use these tools. This just happens to be the prompt that I put in for it. But I remember being at ProfCon thinking about AI and thinking about, it's all I can do to read everybody's papers that they submit. Like, I don't really want to have to go through them all with a fine-tooth comb and check to see whether they're plagiarizing or using an AI tool or whatever. But there are a few tools that will actually check that for you. So originality.ai is one of them, and it will actually detect a score based on the percentage of the paper that's original versus the percentage that's AI generated. Turnitin, Grammarly, they all have tools like this now where we can sort of check our students if we so choose to see how much of their work is actually original and how much they're actually just using from a tool like ChatGPT. So that's all I have. I actually have several slides in here that you'll get. I'm not going to show them to you necessarily because they're just links, but just a digital toolbox of a list of some of the tools that are available in each of those areas: AR, VR, influencers, etc. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you guys for any questions that you might have.
Great. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. We do have some questions, and I actually have a question for you. And it's
Okay.
related to one of the ones that came in through the chat. So In the chat, they wanted to know your perspective on consumer awareness for AI generated items. So are people seeing the difference between quality between a real item versus a AI generated one? And then my question to that is tying that into your example that you shared with little Michaela, which was fascinating. I'd never heard of her before. How does that psychology balance out against what we were talking about earlier with mega influencers versus nano influencers, where our trust is higher with the nano influencer due to their realistic approach, and you know that as a consumer they're not getting paid millions of dollars to rep a brand, versus an AI person, if we can call them a person, who is clearly just there to make money. There's no real aspect of them. So those are my questions.
Thank you for starting with the easy questions
Wow,
first. Well, you know, I have a psychology undergrad, so I should be able to figure that out. But you know what? It is super interesting. Well, first of all, let me kind of answer your first question first. In talking with my friend Richard, the video producer, he was talking to me about how some of the really good AI tools, he's like, you can barely tell that it's not a real person. He said, you can actually I could actually upload my headshot, which is kind of what I did with the Don Schultz video, but I did it on a lower end free version of a tool. But I could upload my headshot to a tool, an AI tool, and the AI tool could have me read a few sentences of anything, like I don't know if they have something specific or whatever. And just by reading a few sentences and uploading my headshot, they can create a full suite of training videos done by me without me even being there. And he said it is remarkably realistic looking. And he's been a video producer for his entire career. Like, he would be the first one to call it out if he didn't think it was super realistic. Now, obviously the ones that I put up of Don Schultz, you could tell his lips weren't quite moving with the words and things like that. So I think that to some extent people know that it's not real in many cases, but to some extent there are times when we may not even know. But I think it's improving. Like most of these AI tools, when you kind of go look them up, some of the ones I have in the links in my slides, they're all research-based organizations. Like they're like, we're doing research on this. Like this is like cutting edge. Like we're if you want to be part of the beta test of this research, sign up now. But like, we don't have it all together. We're just figuring it out. We're all contributing to this code together, you know? So I think we'll continue to see those improvements where who knows whether we'll be able to tell in the future whether something's AI generated or not. That I do have to say I am baffled in terms of the psychology question on the fact that micro and nano influencers are the ones that tend to generate the most engagement and the best ROI. But yet we still have a ton of millennials and things following these virtual influencers. And I don't get it. Like, why would I go, oh, wow, little Michaela uses a Samsung Galaxy phone? Like, maybe I should buy one. Like, she's not even real. But maybe that's just showing my age. I don't But I think that I think it depends on your target audience. You know, it all really goes back to that. You know, I just have a sense that like maybe some of the more nano and micro influencers maybe reach a different demographic than some of the virtual influencers do. That graphic did show that women tend to be see more appeal in the virtual influencers, but also the really young age groups as well. So yeah, I don't have an answer for that one other than that it maybe just depends on the target market. I thought that was funny too, that like the big thing about using influencers is the authenticity. Yeah. And yet we have virtual influencers who are clearly not authentically people. So maybe I think we'll see where that goes. It could just be the novelty of it all, like the research. You're just like, will it last? I don't know. We'll see.
It's the new shiny thing, so people are excited about it, but maybe it'll lose some steam over time.
And along with that, we have to be careful about going after the new shiny thing just because it's the new shiny thing. I've worked for a lot of CEO founders who were like, saw the new shiny thing and wanted to go after it. And my job was always to like rein them back in and go, okay, like this is our marketing strategy. Is it really a fit? Will it really work with our audience? And we always, you know, in integrated marketing communications, we have to go back to, is this for the right audience? Is it the right message? Is it the right time? You know, is this the right place to communicate with them in the right way, right channel to use? So we have to ask ourselves that.
Yeah. That's a great question. One other question that we had is getting back to the beginning of your presentation. You're talking about traditional marketing versus integrated marketing and how that approach has shifted over time. And I love some of the examples that you shared from your professional life as well with the conference and event marketing. Really great case study there. The question from Joseph is, what are the differences between omni-channel marketing and IMC? Are those synonyms, or what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, they sound like it. They kind of are, but in omni-channel marketing is and multi-channel marketing is kind of like it's using all the channels, but maybe using them all in a different way. And integrated marketing communications is using all the channels, but using with to convey the same message in a similar way. So that's very much what I did with at the event company. It was like we had the same message, the same, graphics, the same videos, the same whatever. We just use them on all the different channels. You see a lot where a major corporation might have. We have this ad agency that handles social media. We have this agency that handles our outdoor media. And we have this agency that handles this. And I've always wondered, like, how can you create an integrated marketing communications plan when you have everything dispersed to different agencies like that and no one knows what the other one's doing? And so I think that's more of an omni-channel approach versus having it all together in an integrated marketing approach where it's the same coordinated effort.
Yeah, that's a good differentiation. Maybe our last question for you, Kelly, before you have you drop off is adding AI to your curriculum. It's got to be hard. It's a changing topic. You want to make sure that you're staying current. What are you doing in your courses currently to inform students about AI, and what recommendations do you have for other educators?
Well, like the previous presenter said, I'm going to use it for the first time this fall. So it's, it's kind of one of those things that I thought about in the spring, and I was like, I don't know enough about it to introduce it right here and right now. It wasn't even, I don't think, I was teaching out of the DMA, Digital Marketing Essentials textbook. I don't think we even talked about it too much in that textbook. And then after being at ProfCon, so I would say, like, get together with other faculty that teach in the same discipline, like join, chat groups or whatever, get on the, ProfCon LinkedIn or social media pages, Facebook pages and whatnot, and ask what other people are doing. Because I learned so much from other faculty that were presenting at ProfCon about how they're using it. And that's what kind of made me go, okay, it's time. Like, I need to bring it up in my social media class that I'm teaching this fall. And so honestly, just kind of doing a little bit more research on it and putting this presentation together gave me some really fun ideas, I think, that I will incorporate. In fact, this assignment, the Baker's Dozen assignment list, I couldn't stop. Like, I started kind of coming up with ideas for assignments, and I didn't even use ChapGPT for that. I used my own brain for that one. And just coming up with those assignment ideas, I was like, there are so many cool ways we can use some of these tools in the classroom. Some of them, have a paid component to it, so you kind of got to find the ones that maybe they can do a little bit of something for free and just try it out, just to have that experience. But yeah, it's going to be something I'm going to do the first time this fall.
Great. Well, we're excited to hear how it goes.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights, Kelly. It was such a pleasure to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Apologize for the glitches, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. Have a great afternoon.
No worries. And we just also want to draw attention to the IMC bundle and courseware that we have available. And if you'll see, I'm sporting a shirt. This shirt can be yours if you sign up for a demo next week on this product or any other StuCamp products. So we're so grateful that you joined us today. We have other events upcoming, and so check out our events page to be able to see those, and join us next week for the Google Analytics 4 overview. That's a very exciting thing. Sabrina Tatalius is going to be our expert speaker on that topic. And make sure that you also download the resources that we'll be sending out and the assignments, so that way you can utilize them in your classroom. And then the last thing, we just want to thank you for your time, and I hope you have a safe and enjoyable weekend, and make sure to stay current with StuCamp. We'll see you next time.